Updog.
Updog. Updog.
Updog Sports Talk.
Hello, and welcome back to Updog Sports Talk. I am your host today, Matt Miller, and this is, again, the man, the myth, and becoming the legend, Justin McGovern.
I think I'm still pretty far away from legend status here. You know, we can't just go and throw legend status here on everyone. I mean, I think that's unfair to the term of legend status and also unfair.
Yeah,
to
but you
me.
got us to the second show. You plowed through that first show with confidence, and you got us right here.
Hey, you
So,
did too. You did
the
too,
legend.
man.
This is the NFL show. Changing it up a little bit.
Yeah, we're throwing some NFL talk in here today.
We will have our pick'ems this week. That'll be in a different video. But with the NFL approaching the halfway point, we want to go over surprises and disappointments so far. Justin, what you got for me?
Let's go. I'm going to say, obviously, we're going to start off here with surprises. I think probably one of the biggest surprises to me, and this one doesn't really rattle off as a surprise, because typically the Green Bay Packers are always a good team. They were just in the NFC Championship last year, and yet also because they just had an absolutely terrible draft. I mean, no one knows what they're thinking. All of a sudden,
Building for the future, apparently.
I know they're building for the future. You know, they're Super Bowl contenders right now. But yeah, like everyone was quick to write them off this year, and basically they were thinking they're going to fall out of the playoff race. The division belongs to the Minnesota Vikings, and you know their expected wins. Like everyone had them. I think Vegas had them around like 8 or 9 wins this year, and yes, I mean they're lacking receivers. They still can't stop the run. They didn't address any of this, but I think everyone forgot they still have one man that's going to lift this team, and that is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he's their sole team right now. I mean, Aaron Jones is fantastic, but he's actually missed a couple of weeks.
Yeah, Aaron Jones has missed a couple. Oh, Jamal Williams also picked up the slack. They do have some running back
But
depth.
Jamal Williams is out.
Yeah, he's out this week.
So they're down to Dexter Williams.
Texans Williams not as good as Jamal Williams.
not quite. They were a surprise mainly because of media. Media put them as our surprise because of the expectations that the media had. Now, we knew because they made the NFC championship game that they would be in the playoff picture again. But based on the media, that is your surprise.
Yeah,
One of my biggest surprises has to be the Colts. They're 5-2. They got Phillip Rivers, but he's like a 40-year-old Phillip Rivers.
he still carelessly heaves interceptions to teams.
Yeah, he just heaves up cinder blocks all day, every day. Their run game, lackluster. They have Jonathan Taylor, but Marlon Mack got hurt. They have T.Y. Hilton, who has been underperforming because of Phillip Rivers' said ducks. The defense has been carrying this team. Number one defense, I believe, still in the NFL. They keep him in the game so that Phillip Rivers can dimp and duck his way down the field for the game-winning touchdown.
It's still absolutely mind-blowing that somehow this defense only allowed one incompletion to Gardner Minshew, who just got benched this week. That week one game is proving to be quite a fluke. Definitely one of the weirdest results of the season so far.
Oh, yeah. And moving on from them, because they're right now in the playoff picture, to a team just outside the playoff picture, Miami Dolphins.
I know. The Dolphins, the biggest surprise for them has been on the defensive side. That defense, especially against the pass, which the NFL has become more of a passing league, so you need that strong pass defense, and that's what the Dolphins have right now. They have a
But
very
who do
strong,
they have? Where did this come from?
They acquired, I don't know, they acquired Byron Jones in the offseason.
That's true.
He
didn't do anything in Dallas.
Yeah, he did. He was pretty good there. And obviously now you see the Cowboys have like the worst pass defense in the NFL. Now he is gone. Dolphins pass defense is really good. They had Xavier Howard, who was already a pretty good corner. You got those two side by side now, and they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Some decent safeties. That pass defense has been pretty strong. They can't defend the run too well, but
hardly at all.
But yeah, the Dolphins have been definitely a major surprise. And
well, with
for a
Ryan,
while there, Fitzmagic was playing.
Yeah,
really
with
well.
Ryan Fitzpatrick on a 3-game win streak, goes into the bye week, gets benched. Tua comes out to start the game against the Rams, and then lights the world on fire. He took a kind of a hard shot by Aaron Donald and fumbled, but after that, he was locked and loaded, ready to go. Like that, I don't know if the Rams just fell flat on their face or what, but Tua looked pretty strong. So Dolphins,
yeah,
they're being 4-3. We know that they can go either way. They can lose out and go 4-12 again. But being at 4-3 right now, pretty big surprise.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing though, because definitely this weekend's victory, even though Tua played pretty well, I felt like it was kind of lifted by the defense a little bit.
Yeah. Moving on from them to the NFC, we have a team that probably going to make the playoffs, probably going to make a strong run in the playoffs. The Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, shortest dude in the NFL, best dude in the NFL.
He is electric.
Budda Baker might be the best safety, and his only weakness is DK Metcalf. So, Cardinals looking pretty strong. They did lose Chandler Jones, I believe, for the year.
Yeah, that loss hurt a little bit.
They got rid of Calais Campbell a few years ago, so they don't really have much of a pass rush going for them. So their offense kind of has to carry the load if they're going to do anything. Do you have another team?
I don't think with the Cardinals, like, I feel like, we definitely thought they were going to be better this year. But, and they acquired DeAndre Hopkins, which was an amazing acquisition.
They stole him.
They stole him from Billy O'Butchin, who just gave him away for no reason.
And they had already gotten Kenyon Drake, so they knew that they had him in his future, so they didn't need an injury-riddled David Johnson back there anymore.
Yeah, and I think everyone just underestimated the impact that DeAndre Hopkins would have.
Yeah.
He has helped Kyler Murray immensely. He's taken the pressure off the rest of the receivers. Now Christian Kirk can do his thing. Larry Fitzgerald somehow still getting it done.
The ageless wonder. The ageless wonder is still going. He still has more tackles than he has drops. And that's saying something.
It's incredible.
Moving on, the Bears.
Yeah.
They're a big surprise for me. They had the defense last year. They had the run game. Mitchell Trubisky was terrible. He played terrible. They knew that they needed someone else in there at quarterback. They gave Trubisky another shot this year. Obviously, that did not work. They put Nick Foles in. Nick Foles may be only a hero in Philly and pretty much nowhere else. He's becoming somewhat of a small-town hero in the big city of Chicago. Kind of saving that franchise a little bit.
Yeah, I would say he simply has done enough to get it done. He's not making the mistakes that Trubisky would make to take him out of games.
And that's what's keeping him in it.
He's making them efficient enough to take advantage of the fact that their defense is just amazing.
Yeah, and their run game is average. I think Montgomery had around 400 yards rushing, which is middle of the league when it comes to yardage. And then Allen Robinson. He was a huge signing for them a couple years ago. So Bears, look for them to
and then
make some noise.
I think his name is Darryl Mooney. He's been a big play for them.
His name came up a lot last week.
Yeah. Well, the past few weeks, I think every single game has made like one big play, which when your offense for the most part struggles, that's what you need.
Moving on from the Bears, the Steelers. They're a big surprise for me only because of where they finished last year. I know that Big Ben was out most of last year with that Tommy John surgery. He came back. I thought it would take him a little longer to get into the groove. Yeah. But you could tell in the first quarter of that first game that Big Ben was kind of missing out on a few things, but he got it right back. Defense is if not number one, number two in the NFL.
I'm just going to go ahead and just say right now they're number one.
Okay,
they're definitely the best.
They're
defense in the NFL.
they're the best team in the NFL. They're the only undefeated team. But I expected a little bit of a slower start with them, and they just came running out of the gates.
I thought they could contend for the wild card, but I definitely did not expect this. I did not expect them to basically, so far looking at this the first half of the year, for them to be the team of the league.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're the only
7-0
team left.
7-0, and 3 of those teams in that division can make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that defense is just incredible. The amount of talent they have up front is just crazy to me.
Well, do you have any more surprises?
I don't have any more. I think we got a good list here, though.
All right,
Definitely.
so those are our surprises for the first half of the season. Moving on to the disappointments, and this is actually a longer list than I thought it was going to be, and that's probably because of training and COVID and preseason expectations. The first thing that we have to say, and we both agree on this one, the NFC East is terrible. They are the biggest disappointment.
This division is so bad.
Yeah, they're the worst in the NFL. They're 8-22-1. The Cowboys as a division, they're 8-22-1. The Cowboys were Super Bowl contenders according to ESPN and Fox Sports and NBC Sports and pretty much everyone else.
They thought the Cowboys were the contender for the Super Bowl.
No,
and instead, everyone was talking about McCarthy. You know, he spent the whole year at home, like studying the entire NFL, that he was going to light the world on fire. Instead, now we got like 6 weeks in, players were simply saying that the coaches are bad at their jobs, and
this is actually a dumpster fire from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
So you have players complaining, you have Mike McCarthy saying it's not good enough coaching. Now, if you said that to your employer, wouldn't you probably be fired or at least talked to?
think so.
The next day, Jerry Jones came out and said, "No, we do not plan to fire him."
We do not see. I go in the locker room and I don't see a lack of leadership. Well, honestly, you know, as soon as the boss rolls in, everyone's going to be like, "Oh, yep, I'm on it."
So, along with the Cowboys, my biggest disappointment is Zeke. Mm-hmm. Now, the offensive line has been terrible.
Yeah.
They lost
a
couple.
Have a lot of injuries.
They have a lot of injuries. They had a couple of retirements. Dak got hurt, but they were playing bad when Dak was there. So, but having to put the entire team on your shoulders is a lot. But Zeke being Zeke, he was once the best running back in the NFL. I think he's falling off a little bit for the sole reason that he turns the ball over a lot more now. Yeah, he used to be able to hang on to the football, get a lot of yards, be all around good. He's been turning the ball over a lot, and you can't blame anyone except for Zeke.
Mm-hmm. He's been turning it over a lot, although I do feel like even despite the turnovers, they probably should hand it to him more. Maybe not put pressure on your third-string quarterback to make plays, but that's 2020 Dallas
I think
Cowboys.
they're on to their fourth-string quarterback now.
Oh, yeah. I think they just activated Cooper Rush from the practice squad. They're going to throw him in there and just see what happens.
The Eagles were my favorite to win the division. Injury-riddled. Almost every single player has gotten hurt at one point for this team. Like, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but everyone seems to be hurt there. Yeah. They did lose a bunch of players on defense in the offseason, but
I don't know if it's just like this team, you know, they had like a bunch of veterans there for a while, and they all hit their peak during that Super Bowl run, and now they're all getting old. Like Alshon Jeffrey, Deshaun Jackson, all these guys are just getting old now, and Lane Johnson is another one. Like, are they
Jason Peters? He's like 40 now.
Yeah, Jason Peters. I cannot believe this guy's still going.
I know. He gets hurt every time I watch the Eagles play. He gets hurt, and then he comes back. He comes back. Then
yeah. They both been like in and out of the lineup. I feel like this team's just kind of gotten old now. I feel like that's part of it, but at the same time, it does seem very abnormal, like how many injuries are going on. Like even like Miles Sanders is like a second-year player, and he's been out for several weeks.
Carson Wentz, surprisingly not hurt.
Yeah, surprisingly, Wentz
He's
has
the only
managed to stay
one.
healthy. But yeah, he hasn't even played as well. I know part of it is because of the injuries, and he's just been trying to make plays. Sometimes maybe trying too hard to make plays.
Yeah.
But
He's you can tell he's working hard to keep that team in position. A team that is still in position, that is exceeding expectations with 2 wins, is the Washington football team.
the team without a name, they're hanging in there somehow.
They still are able to hang around the number 1 spot and possibly win the division to make the playoffs. That's astounding. They have one good player. Their other good player has a bum leg from breaking it 2 years ago. I don't know how they're hanging in there.
I don't know either. Like they have so little offensive talent. Like they don't really have like a top running back. They have a couple like mid round guys that they just kind of throw in there. They have one receiver in Terry McLaurin. I don't even know the names of the other receivers on the roster. They have a converted quarterback playing tight end. Their offensive line isn't good. I don't understand how in the world this team is competing.
Do you think it's Ron Rivera's chemo is cleansing this team of their cancers?
Oh no,
That was terrible.
No.
I'm not saying that ever again.
ah, damn it, Matt. Come on now.
My bad.
This is not this kind of show.
It had to be said.
Oh man.
And then the Giants are just trash. We don't even have to say anything about them.
Yeah, the Giants stink. They have the worst offensive line in the NFL, even worse than the Bengals.
I didn't think that was possible, but moving on to slightly better teams that
Who
are
also
disappointing
bad.
us.
Who are also bad.
The Patriots, 2-5. They're disappointing in the fact that with Bill Belichick and Cam Newton and Josh McDaniels, you figured that they'd figure something out.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam was out for a couple of weeks with COVID, but since he came back, he hasn't been playing well at all.
He's been playing very bad.
Very, very bad. And they're not the same team without Tommy Boy.
And I do have to say, like,
He was
going
their
into
leader.
This, I kind of felt like that Belichick was probably the brains behind the operation. But right now, you've got Tom Brady still playing really well. He's going up against Drew Brees this week. They're both chasing that passing touchdowns record.
Back and forth each week.
Can you believe that? Like, I've never seen that happen before, where 2 quarterbacks at the exact same time are chasing the exact same record and playing each other.
Well, they've been playing forever.
Yeah.
Like, Tom Brady still looks like he's
Just
37 again. And
absolute legends out
yeah,
there.
they're really good at football, and they're really good at what they do. For the Patriots dynasty, I was saying the first 3 Super Bowls was strictly Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Building that defense and then putting weapons around Tom Brady. Once it hit that undefeated season, that's kind of when Tom Brady started taking over, and it was his dynasty.
Yeah. And he's cementing his legacy as one of the best quarterbacks in NFL history with how he's been playing this year.
Yeah.
But we're talking about bad teams now, so back to what's going on.
Back to bad
with the
teams.
Patriots. Yeah, they have no receivers.
They never
offensive line
have,
played that well, and I mean,
Their
we are
defense-
kind of not thinking about like their defense had like 7 players opt out.
They were almost about to trade Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
Like, if that doesn't tell you the state of the Patriots organization right now, I don't know what else does.
Yeah, something's definitely wrong there right now.
Moving on from the Patriots, because we hear enough of them every day, the Houston Texans. Last year, a 10-6 playoff team that beat your Bills in the playoffs
Don't remind me, please.
have been reduced to 1-6 this year, and a lot of that was Billy Buttchin. But with Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt, you'd think that they'd be a little bit better than 1-6.
Yeah, I do have to say, I mean, this started out like 3 of their first like 3 games were against like 3 of the toughest teams in the NFL. I know that kind of buried them a little bit, but you would have thought that even after that, they would.
But they
rebound
competed with
against
them last
easier-
year.
You would think they would rebound against easier competition,
They have not.
and they still have not done that. They're still sitting at like 1-6.
I think their only win is against the Jaguars.
But I do have to say, yes, I do believe that's against the Jaguars. They play them again this weekend, but yeah,
Maybe a second win.
Billy O'Butchin just did everything he could to destroy this franchise. It seems like he was I don't know how such an incapable guy managed to be a GM and a head coach at the same time.
I don't know. And then it took him like 3 years to get fired after that. Like,
Final straw was trading away your best receiver for nothing, pretty much.
for a candy bar. That's about all he got. Moving on from the Texans, we got go Chargers go. The Chargers, so much hype around them, no results.
Yeah.
The offense was tailored to go around Tyrod Taylor. They had 3 good running backs that could run the ball consistently. Tyrod Taylor is a guy that can put up $150 and 2 touchdowns a game. To complement that, he got hurt. Air Bear came in, threw 350 a game in 3 touchdowns.
He's actually been lighting it up and even made it better.
And their defense lost Derwin James and Drew Tranquil.
That kind of hurt a little bit.
That was a huge blow to that secondary.
They still have good players like on the defensive line.
Well, they just traded away Desmond King.
Melvin Ingram just got hurt too.
Yeah, but they traded away Desmond King, so they kind of are out of it mentally. But Chargers, I thought they would actually compete a little bit this year. Maybe not to the point of being with the Chiefs.
I wouldn't say they haven't competed. They've competed this year. But it's just the reason why the record's so bad is they can't close out a game to save their lives.
And I think that's inexperience of Herbert. And they didn't really have – they had Tyrod Taylor for the Bengals game. But Bengals are trash, so they're going to beat them anyway.
But I don't know. I don't know if it's coaching or what because they have played well against so many good teams. I mean, they brought the Chiefs down to the wire. They led the Saints for most of Monday Night Football and then lost that one late. They just can't close out a game.
Nope. And the new stadium's not helping that at all.
Fancy new stadium, no results.
One of my biggest surprises this year, which I figured that they'd have a tough time keeping up this year with everything that they've gone through in the offseason, but the Vikings. Vikings are 2-5. And as you said earlier, NFC North was the Vikings to lose.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, maybe not an Aaron Rodgers type player, but he's capable enough to go along with Dalvin Cook to keep that offense going. Offense isn't going.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins has been terrible this year. He entered the season saying, talking about COVID, he was like, if I die, I die. And you look at that and you're like, man, this guy's got the attitude this year to play football. He's into it. And yeah, he's been absolutely terrible.
They are 2-5, Kirk. 2-5. I'm beginning to think as an organization, they're just like, if I die, I die. And they have died.
But I do have to say, I think we're underestimating what really has been the main downfall, and that is their defense. Their defense has been a massive disappointment.
Yeah. That they lost 2 of their corners to the Bengals.
How or why? But
I don't know. But 2 of their corners went over to the Bengals.
Yeah, their secondary has been pretty bad. They can't stop the run either. Yeah, that team's defense has definitely been a big issue, and Kirk Cousins isn't built to win shootouts.
No, not at all. He's built to manage a lead that they frequently
similar. I mean, I know we're bashing them right after they surprisingly beat the Packers, but Kirk Cousins is built to have a game like they had this past Sunday, where Dalvin Cook did all the work running the ball, and then Cousins just has to manage it from there and throw 14 passes.
And do you have any more disappointments?
I don't have any more disappointments, but how about we look at it now? Teams that are currently in the top 7 in the playoff race, who do you think is going to fall out from that group? Who do you think is going to fall apart kind of later in the year?
So to preface this, there are now 7 teams in each division that will make the playoffs.
And possibly 8 if COVID keeps getting in the way.
Possibly 8. And right now, Cleveland Browns are at number 7. I see them falling out. I want them to be in because that means that the rest of the division that my team plays against they're all in the playoffs, which means that this year wasn't a waste. But Cleveland, they don't have OBJ for the rest of the year. They blow out inferior opponents and then lose to the good teams. they don't play Cincinnati again the rest of the year. So it's not looking good for the Browns.
Yeah, I do have to say, I could see that one too. But my team that's going to fall out is the Indianapolis Colts. We talked about them as a surprise, but I don't know. Sometimes Phillip Rivers looks like he's throwing a pancake, and I'm not really sure if I just trust him the rest of the way. They've been helped by a little bit of an easier schedule, and sometimes they put up a bit of dud performances. But really, the biggest issue I have with them is their schedule gets really, really tough.
Yeah.
They have a lot of tough upcoming games. They play the Ravens this weekend. They have the Packers coming up.
Still no Marlon Mack.
They have the Steelers coming up. They have the Titans twice. This is going to be a pretty tough stretch. And Jonathan Taylor has also been he appears to be hurt now too. So they need something, because obviously Phillip Rivers doesn't have anything going with T.Y. Hilton, so they don't have a number one receiver. Yeah, I'm just worried about this team. They have a strong offensive line and a defense that's playing pretty well, but yeah, I'm just concerned about this team because the lack of weapons.
Yeah, and with Phillip Rivers throwing just straight ducks and cinder blocks, like they can't.
We have said now that Phillip Rivers is throwing ducks, pancakes, and cinder blocks.
Yeah.
Do we have any others?
Probably next show.
Okay, yeah, we'll see that for another show.
But I don't see how the Colts can maintain. They don't have a run game. They have to pass the ball like 60 times a game, and Phillip Rivers can only throw like 10 yards down the field. So, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
They're another team that was on my list, but I have to go with the Cleveland Browns. You have to go with the Indianapolis Colts. Moving on to a team
I would say let's finish this up here for a little bit more of a positive note. Who's outside the top 7 that could surge into the playoffs?
The Raiders.
There we go. John Gruden and co.
Yeah, that $100 million contract for John Gruden is starting to show a little bit. Mm-hmm. Derek Carr isn't as useless as he was in years past. Josh Jacobs has actually fallen off in the past few weeks, but with a carousel of offensive linemen coming in and out with COVID, I think once everything clears, they'll be back on track. Defense concerns me. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of young corners that tend to get burned, and they don't really have much of a pass rush.
They're pretty much hoping to outscore people.
Yeah. But with Henry Ruggs, just throw it over the top and just pray. Mm-hmm. Is that the show?
I would say...
I don't care about your pick.
Oh, I'm getting my pick in. I think the Miami Dolphins could surge in. I know there's a little bit questionable Tua coming in, but they are on a hot streak right now, and switching quarterbacks appears to have not changed that. That defense is just playing so well right now. I think that's going to lead them. I think
it hurt them.
In terms also, like, just the vision is so questionable too. The Patriots are looking pretty bad.
Jets are not even mentionable.
The Jets are just terrible. The Buffalo Bills have the best record, but as a Bills fan, this team worries me because they're struggling defensively, and the passing game has kind of dropped off a little bit. They can't run the ball. So I'm thinking the Dolphins here. They could surge into the playoffs. Even if they don't win the division, I feel like they could make their way up.
I think it's a little more feasible with an 8-team playoff than a 7-team. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to kind of hang around that 8, 9, 10 spot. And then if they do expand to 8, I think they can squeak in. But they didn't go after anyone. They didn't try to trade for anyone.
Yeah.
And so that just shows me, are they even interested?
I don't know. I think they're more determined to build for the future. If they make a playoff run, cool, but they're definitely looking at the future. They have got to love the fact that they have the Texans' first-round pick, and the Texans absolutely suck right now.
Yeah.
At first and second-round pick. I mean, those are two very good picks that they have now. I think they're looking at that draft capital that they have, and I don't think they're willing to give it up right now.
No. Is that the show?
I believe that's a show.
Well, we have a lot more to talk about, but that'll come in the next few shows.
Oh yeah, we'll get to more awesome topics next time here on Updog Sports Talk.
Updog Sports Talk.
With that, Have a wonderful day, everybody, and talk to you next time.
Peace.